Welcome to the Conception Channel podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Spence Pentland, founder and clinical director of Yinstill. Today I'd like to share one of the most important concepts we teach our patients at Yinstill, the 3-phase fertility roadmap. One of the hardest parts of the fertility journey is not knowing where you are. Many women tell me they feel like they're starting over every month. A period comes, hope drops, a new supplement gets added, another test is ordered, and another cycle begins. Without a framework, fertility can begin to feel very random. It can feel like you're working incredibly hard without knowing whether you're actually moving forward. But what we've observed clinically for more than 20 years is something very different. While every patient is unique, meaningful improvement often follows a recognizable progression. Not because every woman is the same, but because the human body tends to heal in predictable ways. This roadmap isn't designed to predict pregnancy. It isn't designed to promise timelines. Instead, it's a way of helping you understand where you are, where you're heading, and what your body and mind may need next. The Yinstill fertility method is built around 3 phases: shift, transformation, manifestation. Over the years, I've come to realize that these 3 phases can actually be understood in just 3 even simpler words: do, become, manifest. Every fertility journey begins with doing. The deepest transformation is becoming. Each phase builds naturally upon the one before it. They're not destinations. They're part of one continuous journey. I'll also often describe them this way. Shift is where we do. Transformation is where we become. And manifestation is where we become ready to manifest. I think that's one of the most important ideas in fertility. Because most women measure only one thing. Am I pregnant or am I not? The body measures many things: sleep, stress, recovery, nutrition, movement, hydration, inflammation, hormones, neurochemicals, energy, nervous system activity, connection, joy, love. It measures hundreds of biological signals every day. Pregnancy is often the result of many systems beginning to function better together. That's why progress often begins long before a pregnancy test shows positive. Let's start with the first phase, shift. Shift is where change begins. Most women arrive believing they have a fertility problem. What I often see is something different. I see a body that's been asked to do too much for too long. Not broken, not failing, simply carrying an enormous load. Many women are managing careers, relationships, family responsibilities, financial stress, emotional disappointment, on top of months, sometimes years of trying to conceive. On the surface, they often appear to be coping remarkably well. Underneath, many are quietly depleted. During the shift phase, we begin restoring the foundations of health. At Yinstill, we call these the vital levers. They're foundational inputs in your control that deeply influence nearly every system in the body. Sleep, nutrition, movement, hydration, breathing, time in nature, smiling, joy, laughter, love, connection, community. When these areas begin improving, the body often starts reallocating resources away from survival and toward healing and reproduction. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. I often tell patients that we're not looking for massive overhauls. That's stressful. We're looking for little shifts, small choices, practiced consistently, like a little bit better sleep, a little more protein, some more water, more exercise, or sometimes a little less. Intentional breathing once a day, a few deep breaths, some more time outdoors in Mother Nature, greater connection with yourself, your partner, your family, your community, social connection. Individually, these things seem small, but together they begin changing physiology. The shift isn't about getting pregnant. It's about becoming healthier. It's about creating capacity. Because before the body can create new life, it first needs the resources to support its own life and health. And then something remarkable begins happening. Those choices start changing you. The shift starts changing you. Not overnight, not all at once, but quietly and consistently. This is where the journey begins. Transformation. Transformation is the second phase. Transformation is the beneficiary of the shift. It doesn't happen independently. It grows out of choices you've already been making. As the body spends less energy compensating, it has more resources available for repair, regulation, and reproduction. This is often when the patient begins noticing meaningful changes, like sleep becomes deeper, energy becomes more stable, digestion improves, exercise feels easier, stress becomes manageable. Menstrual cycles often become more predictable, ovulation becomes clearer, PMS may be reduced. Many women simply tell me, I feel more like myself again. That may be one of the most important milestones in the entire fertility journey. Because fertility isn't just about becoming pregnant. It's about becoming healthier. And perhaps more importantly, it's about becoming not a different person, but the fullest expression of yourself. Healthier, stronger, more resilient, more connected to your body, more capable of carrying what you seek. Every fertility journey begins with doing, the shift. Its deepest personal transformation is you becoming. For patients pursuing IVF, this phase often aligns beautifully with the biological timelines of egg and sperm development. Eggs mature over several months once they've woken up from their dormant state, and sperm also develop from several months from their primordial stem cell deep in the testicle. Biology takes time. You can't rush it, but you can support it. Transformation is where consistency begins compounding. Small choices repeated over time create meaningful biological change. And then finally, with time, we arrive at the third phase, manifestation. Many people hear that word and immediately think pregnancy. And yes, pregnancy is certainly one possible manifestation, but it isn't the only one. It's the ultimate one, but it isn't the only one. Manifestation is when the healthier version of you begins expressing itself. Sometimes that expression is conception. Sometimes it's healthier eggs and embryos. Sometimes it's a smoother IVF cycle. Sometimes it's a healthier pregnancy. Sometimes it's greater emotional resilience. And sometimes it's just trusting your body again. I think that's an important distinction, because manifestation isn't simply about getting the outcome you hope for. It's about being ready. It's about readiness. About becoming the healthiest, strongest, most resilient version of yourself, so that when opportunity presents itself, you're ready to receive it. By this stage, much of the foundational work has already been done. The focus becomes maintaining what you've built while supporting conception, implantation, and early pregnancy. One of the biggest misconceptions I see is that everything changes once someone becomes pregnant. But in reality, many of the same habits that support fertility continue supporting pregnancy. Sleep, nutrition, movement, recovery, connection, emotional regulation. The same physiology that supports conception often supports pregnancy. One of the most important reminders I'd like to leave you with is this. These 3 phases aren't rigid. They're not linear. Patients move forward. Sometimes they plateau. Sometimes they revisit earlier work. An IVF patient may still be working on sleep while preparing for her next embryo transfer. A mother trying for her second child may be rebuilding depleted reserves while actively trying to conceive. The roadmap isn't meant to create pressure. There's no right or wrong. It's meant to create orientation. When you understand where you are, the journey becomes far less overwhelming. You stop asking, why isn't this happening yet? And instead begin asking, what phase am I in? And what does my body and mind and spirit need next? That shift in perspective changes everything. Because you're not starting over every month. You're moving forward through a process. One choice at a time, one healthy habit at a time, one phase at a time. Every fertility journey begins with doing the shift. Its deepest transformation is personally becoming. And when readiness meets opportunity, life has a remarkable way of expressing itself.